My name Ahraz Akhtar. I have done my engineering. I have also done my MBA. I hold around 9+ years of experience. So there you have to don the hat of a technical product manager. Tricky question. I would pick two if I have the luxury. One is on the statistics side. Another is on the marketing management. That's the only reason why I went for the MBA. I think there are a lot of myths around product management as well. I mean, you have to make people unhappy. So it's okay to make people unhappy, provided you are in line with the company's vision. You can use as simple as Excel sheets to do your product road mapping, and you can use some complex tools like Jira, Trello to use all that. I have used all these tools, and it's a harsh truth is rarely you can plan your day as a product manager. Back then, I never decided that I'll foray into product management, and I don't think so. At that time, product manager roles were even existing. The only thing I would say to the audience is be bold in taking decisions and be confident in what you have taken. And I think all the best to your team in having such sessions. I think it would really help people in deciding what they're keen for. My name Ahraz Akhtar. I belong to a city called Rampur, which is in UP. It's like a 4 hours drive from Delhi. So yeah, that's more about where I live. From the professional front, I have done my engineering from a technical college in Uttar Pradesh, Lucknow, in 2012 in computer science. And I've also done my MBA from Kozhikode. And overall, I hold around 9+ years of experience. And this experience is, I would say, equally split between management consulting and product management. And my focus has been towards product management over the last 4 or 5 years. Yeah. Like it's a connection between tech, business, and UX, as we always used to see product management. But I would say it has gradually evolved over the years. Example, right now, if you see, and it also depends on industry to industry, company to company, but overall, if I look at a generic set of things, it's no more only a connection between UX, business, and tech, encapsulated like GTM, go to market. It has also encapsulated your sales aspect of it, and you go into deeper into technology. So it's not just restricted to as we used to see it previously. Now, specifically talking about how product management exists in a tech company, I would say, again, the roles are different if you see different companies. Just to give you an example, Apple is one of the greatest or the biggest tech company, you can say, but their product manager roles are more product marketing centric. Okay. However, if you see Google, they are more towards technical product manager. Okay. And then you have companies lying in between these two extremes where there are roles like growth product managers, which focuses more on the business side of the things. And then you have product managers that see both sides. For example, you see the business side of the things, you understand, okay, what we need to build. And at the same time, you also play a role of a product owner, product manager, where you manage how it is to be implemented, how it is to be executed. So there you have to don the hat of a technical product manager. I personally have experience in the latter part where I play two roles. For example, initial part of my cycle for any feature, for any product is towards the business side. And once I've understood that, I make myself involved more on the technical aspects of it, like how to implement what is being decided. Yeah. You would still you have to consider that sales is still a different vertical in most of the companies, and I would say all the companies. But as a PM, involved in separate stages of a sales life cycle. For example, many a times companies, when let's say our sales team are pitching a product to any company, they would still want to evaluate something else, and they want to talk to your product managers. And you know why companies do that? Because rather than just seeing the current static status of the product, they want to see how this company is envisioning the product. That's where product managers get involved into those meetings along with the sales team, to give them a long horizon that this is where our product stands right now, and over the next 3 years or 5 years, this is how we are envisioning the product. This helps in that particular company in making the call whether they want to go ahead with our product or not. So tricky question. It's almost 10 plus years. And if I look at the hindsight, back in 2012, when I kind of joined a tech company after my engineering, I joined Oracle Financial Services Software Limited as a software developer. Back then, I never decided that I'll foray into product management. And I don't think so. At that time, product manager roles were even existing, But the only thing that I had in mind was in that role, I got a chance to do some business specific work. The team that I joined was pretty small, and I used to visit the client side to understand what is the business requirement. And at the same time, I used to come back to my office and do the development as well. So I got the taste of both the sides, which the former one is what I liked. I mean, having those interactions with the clients to understand what their needs are. That's the only reason why I went for the MBA. And then the path opens up where I went into consulting. And from there, I used to do consulting for the tech products, fortunately, and that gave me a chance to go into product management. So that's how I ended up in product management. So, and I assume that this is more for someone who's beginning the journey, right? So in product management, I think there are a lot of myths around product management as well. 2 cents for someone who is starting to look at product management as a career is, I would say, read a lot of stuff online. By reading, I mean try to have a general knowledge around what's happening in different industries. And more so, articulate your thoughts better, For example, maybe you know something really great about a particular subject, but you have to articulate what you are thinking in a structured manner in minimum words possible to influence someone else, and probably maybe in this interview we'll go through more details on product management. I'll try to link this to my future answer so that I can explain more.
Yeah.
I would pick two if I have the luxury. One is on the statistics side. Another is on the marketing management. Why I said this, because many a times in product, we have a large data set that we have to analyze. You have to make sense out of those data sets to draw insights. That's where statistics parts comes into picture. But for you to push those questions to the user for them to respond, for example, you want to put a feedback form to someone, right? The way you frame your questions is what we used to learn in marketing management. That's where to remove the bias. For example, you don't want to frame your question from what you think perspective. You want to frame a question from the persons who is responding, that perspective. That's where I would love to spend more time in marketing management to understand those talents. We do that all the time, considering, I mean, I'm working as a PM in a tech company. For the audience, right now, whenever you integrate your product with some other product, which party, let's say, and you have to build connection using APIs, right? Where you have to go a bit deeper into understanding what kind of data is being exchanged between these two systems. And you also would have to notice that PM is the first phase whenever you are interacting about your product, So you have to be very attentive. Things need to be on your tips rather than asking your engineering team every now and then, like how the data exchange would happen. So you should know all those things. That's where the tech angle comes into play. So, I would say both are very important, but both are important at different stages. Let's say if you pick any product and as a PM, you want to start working on that product, whether it is from scratch or whether it's an existing product, the starting phase of any product per se has to be more involved toward the business side. And why I said that is because business acumen is needed to make decisions around those things, right? Like, why are you spending your money on it? Why are you spending so much time on it? And once you're clear with all this, then the only thing that is pending is execution. Okay. And when it's all about execution, it's all about technical knowledge. I'm not saying that
Right.
PM needs to be hands-on with coding, although some companies expect that. But more often, you have a separate engineering team, but you have to be aligning with them every now and then. So you have to be involved at some level to understand the technicalities of your product. So I think both of them are equally important, but at different stages.
Got it. Yeah.
So first thing, and it's a harsh truth, is rarely you can plan your day as a product manager. Overall, if I have to look at the things that are important in any specific day, is first thing which is common across all the days is you have to interact with your team, because whether you call it a daily or whether you call it a stand-up, you need to have that meeting with your team just to think, just to wrinkle out things, if they need anything from you. That's pretty important. Other thing is there are certain metrics that you have to keep an eye on. For example, whether your product is performing well, whether it's not performing well, are there any red flags that you need to consider? If everything is working fine, so you need to keep a track on those. uh, Third is, if I have to bucketize other task, is all meetings. Now these meetings can be planned, and more often than not these are unplanned, you
Yeah.
know so all the meetings with your customer success team, your sales, and customers as well. Sometimes you directly get an email from the customer saying your product is not working properly, or they have some feedback to share. So it's interesting to hop onto a call and have that interaction. And then you have to spend some time on documentation, because it's very important. You take a lot of decisions on your product day to day, so you need to document those. So I think these are certain areas where you spend most of the time. But again, you can't plan. You have to jungle between the things. Okay, so I think I can mention a couple of them, which I think I've heard from other people as well. So we began this discussion with a technical product manager perspective, right?
Yeah, right.
And I think the person would always feel, oh, I'm not from a computer science background, whether I'll be able to make it to product management or not, which
Yeah.
I think is never the case. Okay. And that's where I want to link to my previous answer is, when you have the capability to structure your thoughts, when you have that awareness, then having a technical background or a computer science background is kind of irrelevant. And I have seen people coming from like backgrounds like biochemistry. I have seen people coming from even commerce side of the things, to enter into product management, because this is a field which does not require any specific education per se.
Mm.
If you can handle it, you can handle it. So that's the first of the misconception or myth that lies. Second is a very common statement that you would have heard every time, that okay, product manager is a CEO of his or her product, right? This is a very common line that anyone, but it comes with a lot of baggage, lot of uh, whereabouts. And this is what I want to clear probably for the audience is, yes, you are the CEO of the product, but you don't own anything, uh, because you don't own the development part of it. It is owned by the engineering team. You don't own the sales part of it because it is owned by the sales team. You don't own what you are even building, because that's even
Mm.
being owned by, let's say, the customer requirements or the industry. So how you are the CEO of it? Because you take very key decisions. That's why you are the CEO. And I think what's more important is you need to have that capability to influence other people with proper rationale, you know,
Right.
where the CEO part comes into picture. And I think these are the two myths that I really want to comment for the audience. Sometimes it's difficult to start into product management, but once you have a proper experience, then you can make a switch. Yes, mentorship is important because it opens up your mind in how to address problems, like you need to solve, let's say, case studies, guesstimate questions, you know, and that is irrelevant for any background. You can't say that, okay, a computer science student can only solve case studies. It's not true. That's where the education branch or education is not that important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, I mean, without feedback, without customer feedback, you can't build your product. Because if you're doing that, then you are building the product on assumptions. And as a PM, as a product manager, I or any other PM per se, uh, needs to remove the biases from his or her mind, you know, because when you are into a product, you think that you know everything about the product, and sometimes or many a times you try to take decisions without seeing the other part of the picture, you know. That's where you have to open up your mind, be ready to face harsh feedback, be ready to face positive feedback, and it's up to you how you want to balance it out. And I think we do that all the time. Any PM would do that all the time. So different companies follow different procedures. If I have to talk about myself, how we take feedback is, let's say if I want to start working on a particular product feature, right? I want to understand the current state of it, and I want to understand what are the customer needs around that particular feature that I want to improve on. So we start off with a discovery phase. Now, discovery phase is me reaching out to different customers, and we have a proper way to go about how and which all customers do we want to interview. For example, from a particular country, from a particular domain, from a particular industry. Once we finalize that, we want to take their opinion. What do they think about the product? What's their feedback? That's one. But you have to also take a note that you can't take feedback all the time. Okay, which may sound very contradictory to what I just said. But what happens is once you are in the execution phase, then you have to trust your gut, because you would have taken some decisions that you may not derive from the data, or you may not derive from customer feedback. So you take some decisions on your own. And that's when you have to just trust your gut and just go ahead with it. Otherwise, you will be in like two boats. So that's how I want to put it. So yeah, data can be of all the forms, and it depends on the product feature or product that you're handling. Let me give you an example. So in my current company, Bezat, so we are HR and payroll work-like platform, mainly targeting the SMEs in UAE and KSA. And there we have a particular module called as shift scheduler. Okay, which basically is being used to create the work schedule for your employees. Now, we were about to have some improvement around it. And then we realized, okay, let's see some data, how customers are using it in the present state of things. And what we learned is we did not have a app experience, mobile app experience for it. And we learned that around 30% of plus companies and the users that are using that particular feature, what they do is they open the product on their mobile browser or tablets. You know, from there we got to understand, okay, this is very important to have this in a mobile app experience. And that's when we went ahead and took a decision of creating a mobile experience. And now we got some really wonderful results out of it. That's how we analyze data and take decisions on the basis
All
of it.
right.
So there are no set rules, to be honest. And it again depends from company to company. You can use as simple as Excel sheets to do your product road mapping, and you can use some complex tools like Jira, Trello to use all that. I have used all these tools, but the most important aspect of these tools is to have that correct visibility for the stakeholders, you know, because you don't want people to reach out to you every now and then and asking, oh, what's the next item that you guys are working on, or what are we going to see in the next quarter, or when something is going live. So till you have that visibility, till you have created that visibility for the stakeholders who will be consuming your product roadmap, anything would be good enough for to use. So we follow, and I think today most of the companies, if they are into agile mode. By agile, I mean keep improving, keep iterating. That's the methodology or the mindset, I would say. Okay. And then you have two famous ones as the methodologies is Scrum versus Kanban. Now, I would say Scrum is being used where you have proper visibility on what you are trying to build. For example, you have a proper roadmap, you know what you need to build over the next 3 months or 6 months. You can follow Scrum. You can iterate from sprint to sprint, whether it's a 2-week sprint or a 3-week sprint. At the end of the sprint, you have something that you want to give it to your customers, take their feedback, and then start building on top of it, right? Uh, versus Kanban. Now, Kanban is used in those cases where you don't have that visibility and things are not that clear. That's where you want to build something, try it out, and then see how it goes. That's where you just have a board, cards, you know who is working on what on a Kanban board, and you want to track the progress. So personally, in our company, we follow Scrum. But in my previous experiences, I have also been in a team where we used to follow Kanban. I would say, I mean, there's no specific metric, and I'll comment more. And it all depends on which metric makes sense for your product. Okay, and I think, and this is for the audiences, we need to understand that this any product that a product manager is working on, just consider it as your own product. I mean, let's say you have started a company, whether you are selling any product, whether it's a mobile phone or a pen, let's say. How do you want to measure the success of it? For example, how many pens you have sold, right? How many repeat customers you are getting? So those kind of metrics we follow even in our day-to-day work. For example, let's say I have built a feature. Initially, I would be more interested in looking what is the adoption rate. Like out of the whole 100 users, let's say, how many users have started to use it, right? That's the first thing that I would measure. Once we are in later stages, I would see how many repeat customers are using my product. What's the retention rate looks like? Because it may happen that when we have launched a new particular product feature, the adoption rate was crazy high, right? But maybe we realize, oh, after 6 months, no one is using it. The retention rate is close to null. Then it's not a success, right? But in the initial part of the product life cycle, we might think that it's a great success. So you need to look into different metrics as per your product. Yeah. So I used to work in a company. In my previous experience, I used to work in Nolarity. Now, Nolarity is a cloud-based contact center. Okay. Now, it's a pure technical product that I was handling there. And let's say there are two set of customers. One is who will buy this whole product, which is a web interface and a mobile interface. And then there are companies who will only buy APIs from us. Okay. And now when it comes to APIs, it's pure technicalities involved. For example, API is a way to build that connection between your product and that company so that there is an exchange of data that is happening. And when there is a exchange of data that is happening, you as a PM need to be aware, like what kind of parameters being passed from one system to another. So that's where you have to be very attentive in terms of technical aspects to understand and take decisions if you are in a meeting with a customer, or if you have some decisions that you need to take on product's behalf. And I would say that's when I made use of the technical expertise that I had at that time, like regressively. Trends, there are many, but if I have to just put two again for audiences and for them to digest it, I would say one is data. And when I say data is make use of data to remove the biases, to understand insights from it so that you can build the product that your customers are expecting. It's very important. And as a PM, you need to have some data crunching understanding to make use of some tools like Tableau, Looker, or even a basic Excel sheet to have that data understanding. That's one. And second, I would say is AI. Uh, right now, we see almost all the top product companies making use of AI and offering product features that run on this intelligence, this artificial intelligence. And I think the exponential rate at which we are seeing AI being grown, I think it will overtake data at some point in time, or it would have already taken over. It is revolutionary if you see, because we personally use AI, and we have built AI product features in our product, in our company, and the way customers are reacting to it, like it is revolutionary. And like, let's take an example of chat gpt, for example, right? People who have used it, even the complex of things that they would do, let's say in 15 minutes, chat gpt can give the same output in a better way, like in a split of a second. So imagine the efficiency, imagine the optimality of all these product features that can have an impact on your business. That would be revolutionary. So A/B testing is when you have two variants and you're not sure like which one would work with the customers. So for example, I create a particular page of a product, let's say that's a landing page on which my customers will land. And we are not very sure whether uh, version A would be more useful to them or version B would be more useful to them, right? So what we do is we show version A to all the customers, let's say in the initial few days, and it's a beta version, so they can respond to the feedback, and then we'll see the traction. And in that beta phase, we'll switch back to version 2 or version B for some days, and then observe that feedback. That's one way to look at it. But in my previous experience, when I was working with Intuit, what we used to do is we used to create two variants, and we used to show variant 1 to, let's say, X percentage of the total users, and version 2 to Y percentage of the total users at the same time. And for next 1 week or 2 week, we used to observe how customers are interacting with it, how customers are behaving for it. And then we take a final call, which one to keep and which one to kill. So like that's how we follow A/B tests. Sometimes you play catch-ups. Okay. For example, your competitors are way ahead in certain areas, and you play a catch-up game because whenever you are having any sales pitch, you keep hearing those names that, okay, competition so and so is offering these features. Why you not having those? So that's a catch-up that you play. And then sometimes you are way ahead in your competition in some aspects, and then you have to constantly evolve. You have to make sure that your competition does not reach or does not exceeds you. So I would say in any state you are in as a PM, competition drives a lot of decisions. It's not pressure. See, I don't remember like who told me this back then when I was starting my product management career, and I was working in a consulting firm and I was working as a PM in that consulting firm for one of the technical products. Someone said to me that imagine me giving you balls in your hands, and I keep on throwing balls. So maybe you'll catch one with one hand, and then you'll catch the second one with your second hand. Probably you'll catch 3 or 4 more. And then, as in when I keep throwing at you, and then you'll start missing those. Yeah. So as a PM, you need to make sure, or you need to decide which one to pick and which one to leave, to make sure that, okay, you are in that constant vision with your company. So you need to prioritize things as a product manager. I would say, as I was mentioning previously, is do discovery. Discovery is try to validate the problem. Okay. Uh, and you may think that, okay, this is a problem that you think you need to build a solution around, but you end up discovering, oh, there is another problem that is more, I mean, that you need to solve imminently, rather than the previous one that you started off with. So I would say do diligent discovery, do customer interviews, analyze some data from your existing product, research in the market, research about your competitors to get the hold of it. Once you get that, try to convert it how the to-be user journey looks like, you know, uh, and then you go ahead and design it with the help of your designers if they are there, and then you build on it. So that's the journey that you have to take. But at each point, I would just mention one thing is whenever you as a PM have taken any decision, just question yourself, like whatever decision that you have taken, is it really needed, or is it worth incorporating that cost and effort that it would entail, so that you are the first one who is questioning your own self. Otherwise, you need to have those answers in place when someone else does questioning. So that's the only thought I would have. So see, once you start the discovery phase, at some point in time, you will start seeing patterns that, okay, I have interviewed 10 customers, like 6 of them are saying the same thing, okay, or all of them are saying different things. If it's the former, then you know where you need to do a bit more research. If it's the latter, where everyone is saying, oh, this is not important, or that thing is important, then you probably would have to question your own self and see whether the problem that you have picked is really a big problem or not. And then you need to double down on it, whether from the data, like, am I missing something on the data? And I really would like to highlight this. Data is very tricky, okay? For example, it will tell you the story the way you want to hear the story. For example, you may say, okay, 1 plus 1 is 2, but there could also be a different way to arrive at 2. The path is different, and the decisions that you might take are completely different. So remove the biases, I would say, at each decision step, and then only you'll be able to pivot around the solution. Because sometimes, let's say you have created a particular product feature and there is a wonderful adoption that is happening, but now you realize, oh, some other competitor has created another way of using the same feature which is more optimal, right? So how quickly you can adapt to it, and how quickly you can make sure that your team is on the same understanding as you. And I think, Radhika, you touched a very important point about the team, and I would like to mention it. As a PM, you need to build that sense of, what should I say, ownership, of the product with the team, so that the team should not think, oh, we are just the executioners. They need to be part of this journey, and then only you will see wonderful results. Otherwise, you will just tell them, okay, do this, and they will do, but there will be no sense of interest. You need to instigate that. For
Apart
example,
from just
let
making.
maybe it's not that clear. Let's say whatever decision you have taken, okay, as a PM, make them part of your journey. you know you need to tell them, you need to make them informed, okay, that we are building this product because of so and so reason, so that they also feel, yeah, it is really important to build. Because otherwise you may start getting questions like, that, Ahraz, do we really want to spend so much time on it? Why not that? Why not the other thing? Why this only? So you need to be very clear in your head so that they are clear in their heads. That's a very, I would say, not interesting, but rather an important question, because it's like everyone will face it.
Yeah,
You
right.
know, the only thing is you can't pick one. You can't say that, okay, I'll only work towards a long-term roadmap, not have quick wins. And you can also not say that I'll only do quick wins and forget the long-term roadmap. As a PM, and I think that's your main job, um, to balance your long-term strategy with your short-term roadmap or short or quick wins. The flaw with quick wins is you might lose focus on where do you want to take this product over the next 6 months or 1 year. We call something called as North Star, the North Star that we are chasing. But at the same time, quick wins are really important because it helps in generating that business. Let's say you have a company that wants to get onboarded with you and they want something, which is very easy to do. Now, if you don't do that, you would miss this particular client, right? But you would also at the same time need to be aware whether this client is an interesting client that can give you more business 6 months after. What if they are joining you right now and they will leave after 6 months? Then your quick win is not a quick win, you know? So you need to have that visibility, you need to have that confidence in creating that balance between by doing, okay, 5 out of 10 things as a quick wins, and then leaving 5 things out and then focusing on the long-term roadmap. It is, interestingly, Ayushi, if let's say a PM is only working on short term or quick wins, then as a team, you will have to hop on to different features every now and then.
Right.
Correct? That's where team will question you that, oh, we are working in a factory model, that we are getting requirement from the customer and then we are building it. Where is the vision? Where is the product vision? What is the end result? What's the product vision? Where do you want to take this product? That's when I said in my previous answer that whatever decisions you are taking, bring your team onto the same platform. Even if they are quick wins, tell the team why they are important, because it will generate so and so dollar of revenue uh, per year. Then only that confidence will get built. Best advice is, I think back when I was working with Intuit, I was working with a senior product manager called Aditya. He gave me this advice is, focus on what's really important. Okay, you can't do everything. Sometimes we think as PMs that, oh, I'll do this, I'll do that as well, I'll make this particular customer happy, and I'll make that customer happy as well. You can do it, let's say, for initial phase of your career, but once you start getting involved in a product more and more, uh, imminently or inevitably, you'll have to leave few decisions aside. You'll have to make you will have to make people unhappy. So uh, it's okay to make people unhappy, provided you are in line with the company's vision. You are in line with the product vision. So that's the best advice that he gave to me, that you can't do everything and it's okay to make people unhappy sometimes. Um, my only advice would be, Ayushi, is structure your thoughts.
Mhm.
Uh, Practice day in and day out. Even if it is as simple as explaining to someone the road to the destination that a person wants to reach, because there can be a person A who would explain the same thing in a minute, or let's say in 10 words, and then there is a person B who can explain the same thing in 20 words with the same outcome. And which one would you prefer? Obviously you would prefer person A, right?
Yeah.
Because it's very quick, optimal. And why I would say is, Ayushi, because as PMs, uh, every decision of yours involves money, involves effort, involves time.
Yeah.
And
That is
you
pressure.
you and you don't have the luxury of spending any amount of money, any amount of time, any amount of effort. So structure your thoughts, see which one is the most optimal, and be confident in what the decision that you have taken. That's the only advice I would have. I think this is a wonderful session. First of all, thanks for having me. Second is, I hope that it is helpful to the people, because many a times we read too many things online, but having a first-hand experience from, I mean, someone who is in the product management space, and I think that would give you that confidence. Uh, the only thing I would say to the audience is, be bold in taking decisions and be confident in what you have taken. And I think, all the best to your team in having such sessions. I think it would really help people in deciding what they're keen for.